up, guys and girls, the channel. I don't know how much of a video we're gonna get out of this. I found a guy on Marketplace. He says he's been into old Toyotas, Land Cruisers for the last, I think, at least 30 years. He's got some parts for us we're gonna go pick up. We're here in southern Manitoba like normal, and we're gonna be going out for, I guess, an hour and 20 minutes drive. Got off a little early from work, so it's close to Steinbach. So yeah, let's see where this ends up. Probably be a short video, or we'll tag it on to the start of another video, but I'm excited. Maybe he'll even let me check out the rock crawler that he's built. So we'll check in later. See you guys. Alright, check this out, guys. That's what we picked up today. He's got more parts, but this was our main goal. We're going to be repairing these, but we won't use the whole door at this point, though I do like these. We'll get into that more when we get back home. Alright, so coolest evening I've had in a long time. This guy, he probably had 15, 20 Land Cruisers is what it felt like. You drive up on the property, there was a bunch of cool Land Cruisers. Got in the shop, he had a Hilux on the lift, an old school one. And then we went to the back to get some parts. Like, we picked up these doors, and he took me to his back shed, and there was 2 Land Cruisers, a Datsun 510, and 2 more Land Cruisers, I think 60 series, 61 series. And then we chatted for a while, actually quite a long while. He's got more parts for me, like I said. He's also got a really cool Iron Pig sitting in his main garage. So this guy has been into Toyotas, like I said, for 30 years, Land Cruisers. He had his own shop. We chatted a bunch. He preferred not to be on YouTube, so and I appreciate and respect his privacy, but he's got so many parts. He said he had to look through what he's got to find the rest of the list that I gave him for that Land Cruiser. But the plan is to cut these doors in half. We'll get them home and then we'll go look at the doors. I got something to work with now. Alright, so what I got here as part of that adventure, these are full barn doors. I actually really like the look of these barn doors with these double windows. Thing is, removing the hardtop means the whole door has to come off. My thought is, okay, little backstory. I was gonna buy a set of used doors. The guy said they're rust-free. These 2 provinces over in Alberta. And said, yeah, good doors, but the bottoms are rusted. And I would have had to rebuild them. 900 bucks Canadian. I was like, that's a lot of money. It's probably the going rate. I ran into this guy on Marketplace, and I found, he said, I got doors. And I looked at him and I said, I think I can make that work. Because if you look from here down, we'll get close-ups on that yet. They are the same shape. And I could have tried making doors from scratch. I have nothing to go off of, like getting all these measurements right. I think we can make these into half barn doors, not use this part. Maybe get creative and put barn doors in here. But I kind of like the idea of having a hatchback you can pop open while you drive. I kind of have an idea what I want to see, but I'm not totally sure. So let's get a close-up on these doors. So if you look at them, they have the shape I gotta rebuild the bottom on both of them, but I got a starting point. That is worth a lot. Plus a license plate bracket. Mine is totally cut up and riveted together. So I got a couple things awesome here. And I'm actually surprised how small they are. They feel smaller when you're carrying them. But starting point for sure. So I got the barn doors, or the ambulance doors, I guess, sitting behind me here. They're the full door. We'll take a look at them in a minute. But I bought these because it's all I had available in the province, and for $200, it's a starting point to make my bottom rear half doors. And then I thought, maybe we can use the ambulance door windows that I like a lot better than the solid window. I'll show you that in a second, and put them into my hatchback. Because I want to keep the hatchback for a couple of reasons. I want to keep the hatch because it's easier to take the roof off. Plus, I think when we're driving, we can open up that rear hatch and have some real good airflow because these things become a hot box. I've read about it. They're hot. Maybe down the road we add air conditioning, but that takes the simplicity out of it. Airflow is key. So let's take a look at the doors. Let's take a look at our opening. So these are the doors here. There's a couple differences right away. That you only find when you get to bring them home. This is supposed to be on this side because the spare tire's here, but I potentially found a spare tire holder where it would sit on this side anyways. It's brand new. I can go either side at this point. Yeah, so the plan is roughly to cut these things in half, implant these windows into my hatchback, and rebuild this. Now, I'm finding out these are... What measurement were we at here? So we're at 20 and a half. And other side, 20 and a half. I was researching. I believe it's 20 and 3/4 what these doors have to be in order to fit in the opening. Because these two together will fit inside my opening. It needs to close on the opening. So let's go take a look at the truck over here. So you can see here's the window I want to swap out. I think we can make that work in there. But right now these doors sit in here. So I have to build them wider. But I got something to start with because it's got to overlap onto here when it's closed. And we got some brand new hinges to work with here. And those are aftermarket Colombian made ones. Dad's down tonight and I asked for him to come hang out, and we're also figuring door stuff. So on this door here, this line matches with this on the later models that have these full ambulance doors. But this, where it indents in, actually matches here like a factory one does. And the cool thing is, from here to here, and obviously there's not much left, it actually is the right width to a factory door. So what I'm going to do to start is cut this in half. I'm going to measure 1/2 inch up for here, so that'll allow me to later fold this over as a flange. So we're going to start by cutting both of these doors in half. So let's take a measurement from this point. The doors, if you look here, that's the top of the tub, and the doors on these half barn doors sit flush there. So if we measure down 15 and you said 1/4?
15 1/4.
That takes us here. And we have from here to the bottom of the door inside 1/2 inch. So kind of it'll fit in there. So let's go measure on our barn doors. So as you can see, it's rotten here, but we still have an original flange left. And this was actually kind of cool to me because we'll go too short here on this end so that I get my measurement right. But that gives us 17 1/4, which if you actually get it in here, it's 15 1/4. So I know from here to here is the length I need. And then as I showed you earlier, we'll add a 1/2 inch here. And we'll cut it in half, and the whole back of the door is going to change too. And then it'll have to be a little wider. We're just not sure on that measurement yet. I haven't seen it done. I know it's probably going to take some visibility right out of like the center of the windows, I want these ambulance windows in this hatchback, and I want it that way because I want to be able to open this. You can lock these struts down, have air blow through here. I mean, we might put the corner windows in, the little pop-up ones in the side. I kind of like the extra there, a little more for your eye to look at, plus airflow without having to have this. You can, like dampers, I guess. But I want to have these windows in here. We've done some measurements. The challenges might be right where these hinges mount. I'll have to get creative. It should fit. The other thing is, right here at this point, on both windows appears to be the same. There's a bit of a bend right here, and this window seems to run consistently with that bend. It gets narrower here, and narrower here. I would end up welding these two together. If I put this flush, there's about, I don't know if you can see that, like maybe 3 to 4/16 inch gap. This is the middle. I think I'm going to try and put this handle in there so it matches the ones on the side doors. I'm missing my mechanism. I'm going to have to order it. Well, no, it's in there. I have to figure something out. You know, there's half of the mechanisms in there probably. But I want to run that. So if I can do that, that'll be good. We can't run it upright because try putting that sideways and pulling at the same time. It will be more like the side doors where this handle runs this way. So goal is get these windows in this hatch. You know, if it doesn't work, okay, I lost a hatch, I have to find another one. It's rusted out along the bottom. So it's a perfect hatch to play with. I mean, they probably all are rusted on the bottom. But yeah, that'll be coming with the tops. What we're going to do now is cut the bottoms off. So I find it's important. I've wrecked some glass in the past on some other vehicles just from grinding and welding. We're going to cover these guys up here and not buy new glass or have garbage looking glass. That is the plan. I guess I could pull these windows out of here, but at this point, what's the point? They can stay in. Gives me something to look at. Plus the weather strip kind of shows me edges of things for measurements. So yeah. We'll just flip these over and get the other side done, and then we'll go to measuring. Alright, we got a cut line right here. I'm going to cut on this inside of the tape. It may burn off while we're going, but you know, we'll see where it goes. Worst that happens is I screw up and we got to start again with something else. And it's just metal. As Lazzy Metal Shaping says, the panel doesn't tell me when it's done. I tell it when it's done. So it's just metal. Let's have some fun with it. When I was a kid, we used to watch a lot of Herbie the Love Bug, and I specifically at this moment remember I don't know if you guys seen it, that episode where, I forget all their names, but the one guy riding in Herbie, and they're going up against Thorndike, I think, and he says he made a pizza out of it. He's talking about the stairs, and I kind of saw this fall apart, and I felt it was the same situation here. I think the line was, it's Thorndike again. He made a pizza out of it. So we have to start to a rear swing out half door. I cut the other one. And we have the half of the top windows I'm going to throw in the vehicle. So we got another half here. I'm just hoping they're not going to fall. We have this rear door. I'm thinking we might have the swing out to the spare tire on the other side. We'll see where that goes. Alright, so here's the other half. Now the rust pulsed out. Got this stuff cut in half. I know there'll be lots of changes coming in these, but at least I know where to start with them. So I've made the decision to pull the hatch out, as you saw in the time lapse. I had a drop in my head once, again. I was going to keep these windows masked up, and realized in order to put these windows in, it would be nice to separate the halves. So pulling the glass out, I've checked ahead of time, I can get the weather strip. Either way, there's some rust behind there that has to be fixed. And it's not pliable enough to save anymore, so I'm probably going to end up just cutting it out of all of these, setting it in a safe place. Yeah, so we masked it to protect it. Now we're going to take it out. So that's what we'll do. Alright, windows are out. These things weigh almost nothing now. I find it really interesting on such a rusty truck that these, like this one's off mine, was completely like not rusted out. Oh, I guess I'm wrong. I found some. So I look harder. A little bit on this one. I mean, that rubber tends to hold water, and proof is it was wet in here on this one. It's out outside more recently. It was wet inside. So yeah, I'll be putting some of that, I don't know what that Schwartz is called, but it's meant to go in here. So I gotta get the weather stripping off the back, pull the handle out of here yet, and then I can start taking measurements. I'm thinking potentially drilling out the spot welds in here and then re-welding them in after, because I can then install these windows in two halves into my hatchback. I think that might be a starting point. So what I did was put outside surface to outside surface here. Lined up the edges on the tops and the sides. And you can see the gap because, well, door down's gotta have a gap. It's a bit of rust hiding in here, but I won't be keeping all of this, but the other one has rust in different places. But when you look over top, the bottom of the windows are even. These get a little bit wider on the red door, and then the ambulance doors are like 1/2 inch narrower on this part of the frame. And here, I would say same thing. You can see the red poking through, and same thing here. So now I have to figure out where I need to cut the back and the top, and potentially my thought is we might drill out the spot welds to separate the two halves. We'll see. All right, so doing preliminary measurements here. If I measure from this flat to this to this surface, and this flat to this surface, it's 1.5 inches. And this is 1.5 inches. There's a difference here on the hinge point. It's going to have to be a little bit wider, so that'll jut into here a little bit. But the bottom can stay the same. I'm tempted, because I know everything lines up from this point and this point is the same, because outsides are bottom and these are the tops. I'm tempted to cut the pillar right here and make it weld onto that piece. That's kind of what's running through my mind up front. We have a difference here too. This gap from here to here, I have to do a measurement because it's got to have the struts fit into here, whereas this one doesn't have to worry about that. So I can't modify this window shape because the weather strip has to fit this. I mean, glass can be cut down, but the weather strip does fit. So that's the big thing on that. So you can see here, it has to have a bit of a pocket for the hinge. So that'll have to be put into here. And then you can see on this guy here, it's got this. There's a bit of a gap here, whereas this one does not. So I have to see if this is feasible or how we're going to do this. Okay, something wasn't adding up on preliminary measurements that I took there to what I'm seeing here, and I realized this is the center. So it'll make more sense to me when I swap these around. There. Now this makes way more usable sense. So if I measure to the curve, I guess that is 2 inches. Very good. And to this curve, yeah, that could work, I guess. It's 2 inches as well from this gap. So I really got to think here how we want to do that. It might be a very skinny channel happening in here. There, I sit down and do some thinking. So I'm going to take this side first, and we'll cut that off the back. And then I'm going to do a slit along here without going through the back layer, hopefully. Up to here. We'll grind this edge. Cut in, I guess, kind of here. You know, we'll cut the whole curve away till about here. And we'll pull this piece off, and then we'll overlay this onto here, and we'll just tack weld it in place. And by separating it in the middle allows me to hold like a straight edge against here and get the new piece square. So we got this piece up, and there's actually a lot of strength here yet. I'm going to hammer and dolly these a little bit flat. So it's off, and I have not tried overlaying this. It's gonna sit in there, and it looks like it should work, especially if we back this up. Yeah, then you got your window size. See, there's not much difference in height. So this piece came out of the bottom. This is a bit of window channel left. I'm going to save this a little bit because I know there's some rusted parts that probably have holes. I can reuse this to fix what's rusted here. And then we have our window frame here. And I think looking at the back side, I'm probably going to cut it along here and along this edge. Then I can drop it into the door over there and see how close we're getting. Alright, so this is pretty much loose. So we'll save this as well. The hope is, I won't be quite there yet, but the hope is to get it to fit inside here so I can cut these to butt weld them. So as you can see, it is closer to fitting. It's kind of sitting almost inside. I got to figure out where to trim next. I know this underneath here is going to be a lot skinnier, but we got this extra in there. So I'm hoping that helps with all of that. Plus we'll have this brace in here now. It'll be super strong. So I'll have to figure out where to trim next. You can see this is fitting up in here. Almost. Now it's just going to be finesse work at this point. When I made my cut here too, I cut it along here so that I can get my bending tool up that I'm going to make to pull it up and away. And then this piece should be able to slide out. We'll have a couple small spot welds to take care of, but there'll be less welding than doing all of the spot welds. So I picked up a tool, these guys right here. And the plan is to modify them to unskin a door or deskin a door. I'm not sure if it's work, if we'll have room. I'll show you how doors are mounted here. So the way you have a door skin is, first of all, you have a flange like this that gets wrapped. So the front side you can see is wrapped over the back side. And I can grind it, which you saw me do in the time lapse, and you're left with this. And the problem is I would have to now weld this whole edge, which I mean might happen yet. But if I can modify this tool, I've seen some guys do it to deskin doors if they want to reuse this lip, because we're not buying aftermarket ones, which would have this lip, and then it gets hammered over when you reinstall it. What I think we'll do is one edge here gets ground more flat so it comes to a point, and the other one gets a groove in here. So essentially the jaws will look like, where are we going to draw this? So essentially, if this is our tool here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a notch here, probably round it off right here, and then this side we'll get a line. It's gonna be hard to draw straight on the edge here. We'll get a line like this. So I can take this one edge and stick it underneath this, hopefully, if there's room. And then this edge here will go on here and hopefully not damage this. If you look in there, you can see they're offset now. And so it's sharp here and round here. You can see the groove. And check that out. It actually separates it without damaging the other side. You get it in here. You gotta get somewhere to start it. And I like that these are wider tool. It helps keep things straighter, I feel. You can kind of see how it's separating the layers. Obviously, as tight as it was here before, you wouldn't have got the tool in, but I knew I could do it after I cut it off. And it doesn't really wreck the bottom from what I can tell. Nope, very good. Because when you don't worry about the ripples in here, because when you go to hammer that out later, it's like hammer it closed over the new panel, it's gonna fix itself. All right, so that allows me now to nicely pull out the folded over layer over here, and we'll actually get to clean up these flanges here. So you can see the edge is folded. Now I just got to finish folding it all the way so we can fit it over the other panel. Actually, this tool worked awesome to fold the flange all the way up. You can see it there, fully square. It won't do it without a sheet metal piece, like a double layer. It needs the strength to hold these two together. But once you've got it up once, like I initially showed, then you can get her again. And now it fits on and off really nicely. So I got everything braced up behind me. I'll give you a look in a sec here. I think I'm ready to cut the inside layer and get her flush. I'll show you what we're talking about here. So this is all flush now. I'm talking about here and old versus new kind of thing. You see, another thing I'm doing here is I'm leaving this because it's gonna, after everything is done, it's gonna get tapered down into there. I'll probably put a bit of a piece in here yet. I don't remember what the plate looks like, but this is for the hinge, so it has to jut out a little bit. And I'm gonna cut through here, through the first layer, and then if it looks good, we're gonna score it. We're gonna go through both layers. You can see it's lining up here where it needs to. Here I'll have to add a little piece. And then here I would like, where I have the Sharpie, when I'm done this job, I'll take it apart and I'll bend this up till it meets. I'll hammer and dolly it and then test fit a couple times. All right, so what I've got now, this is still the same. I've done my cuts. You can see it meets up perfectly with the metal underneath, and I want these to become a butt weld. Right here, I gotta get a little bit creative, but I can at least weld this to this and have a small piece to fill. So I'll probably hammer this flat right here. I'll Sharpie that in. Yeah, we'll cut that to start, but I gotta also square this all up. All right, so that's all nice and square. I think I'm gonna do a couple metal screws into here to make sure that it doesn't shift. So we've got them cut now in such a way that they will sit flush. Stuff like this, they'll need a little tappy tap once I get to welding it together. I'm gonna have to go in here and I think I'll just cut a bit of an arc in the blue. So it'll come down, because we got the bolts right now that are keeping this up. There's that plate in there. And then this I'm gonna actually leave but just hammer flat here. So I think maybe just a little cut here yet. And then we'll hammer this flat here. And then this piece can actually stay on. I'm not sure. You know, I might start metal working this one in a sec, getting it to the right shape. All right, guys and girls, I think we have a winner. I have got everything fit, ready to pretty much do the welding. It's all like really good fit, and I'm actually quite impressed with how well this all has come together. So let's go take a look at it. All right, so check that out. I just screwed a couple things down. It's actually, I can hold it by that middle post. And so yeah, there's a couple screws holding it, but you can see where the cuts are made here. Look how well this lines up. That is really good. This is kind of loose here, that's why it's not perfectly perfect. But we'll flip this over. All right, so we're gonna see now where the magic happened, the hard part of this. So currently, I have a couple screws holding everything together here. And then I did the same here. Yeah, so this, I've had to fold up a little bit to meet this. We'll tap this in when we weld. Then I also hammered this straight. The next piece will probably come in right about here. So I have a piece of metal to weld to. Then I ran the grinder down here. And down here. So we'll pretty much butt weld all of this. I also pulled out the plate that was in here, right in this area on the that holds the hinge in, because we don't need it anymore. And here's what I'm gonna do with this. I've kept all of this, and it's gonna get welded kind of around here and then here, and that way I can still keep the backing plate in there. It keeps its strength. So yeah, that is one side fit, ready to go. So yeah, that's one side fit up, ready to go. And welding will happen later. I gotta clean up the inside of it, and we gotta put one more window in there. All right, guys and girls, one more look at this here. I'm pretty happy with it. You'll have to use your imagination to get the other side in here. We're gonna call it an episode at this point. Tune in next time. I'm hoping to bring the other part of this where we fit the other side. We also will fit it. I don't know if we'll weld it, but we'll prep it and stuff like that. So thanks again for watching. We are almost at 4,000 subscribers. They could actually hit that mark on this next video. So thank you very much to those of you who have subscribed. And actually that's very exciting for me and very encouraging. So let's try and hit that 4,000 subscriber mark. That would be exciting. I never thought that would actually happen making a YouTube channel. I just wanted to make videos because I enjoyed documenting the work that I do. And now I get to take you guys along for the ride. So, one more look at this. And like I said, you can actually hold the little post. And the back side. So yeah, right on.